Alright folks, we have returned. It's now time for me to do another case in Elite mode. And this is what I'm going to do. Yep. Peace and dead quiet. Marshal Matthew, according to our information, Guru Om Padmasana is hiding out in the Tiger's Nest Monastery in Bhutan. This guru is bad news. We know that he's an American by the name of Ezra Hope, and he's studying how to make his followers psychologically dependent on him. And his tricks obviously work because he gets heaps of donations from his followers. These generous donations are why I've told Elliot to keep an eye on his finances. He may not be as dangerous as Samra, but if he thinks the Bureau will not track him down wherever he might be, he's got another thing coming, right, Matthew? Quite. Marshal Matthew, you must get up to the monastery. I warn you, it won't be easy. It's over 10,000 feet above sea level on the edge of a cliff. No worries, Chief. Nothing will keep Matthew from getting to that guru. On to the monastery with you then, and watch your step. Oh gosh. Photograph. There's the victim's body. There we are. I should have known this would happen. Before we can even climb up to the monastery, you find a dead body. Well, at least that's not the guru. This poor guy's way too old, and his arm's been hacked off. Well, he's definitely dressed to fit in around here, so he's probably a monk. Did you find any clues that could help with an identification? Not sure how that will help, but sure, if you want to piece together that torn cloth, go for it. And he found a photo of the victim. Looks like some kind of inspirational card. This could help us identify the victim. Maybe you can find his identity in the database. We need to get going on solving this case before that Om Padmasana gets wind of us. Who knows where he'd slither off to next? "36 hours. This is when Angela was still a coroner. So sit tight, folks. Need to get some stars. Okay, folks, I have gotten all 15 stars. Let's examine the photo first. There we are. Lam Uyen. So our victim is a monk named Lam Uyen. It seems he had a rather important position at the monastery. Important enough to have next of kin. According to his record, he was allowed to adopt a young girl named Deki, no last name. Isn't that a little unorthodox? A monk adopting a little girl? I guess we better climb back up there and tell this Deki that her adoptive father was killed. Tell her about the death. Hello, you're Decky, correct? I'm afraid that we have some bad news for you. I can give you a few moments, but then I must go prepare a bath for Lam Uyen. I'm afraid that Lam Uyen won't be needing a bath, Decky. He was murdered. Lam Uyen? Murdered? Well, I am sure that he was ready. Ready? What on earth do you mean by that? Lam Uyen adopted me when I was a little girl, after my parents died. He taught me to think of death, even my own, at least 5 times a day. It is a way to live life more fully, and Lam Uyen was a master in living life fully. He was a little wild. He always said that when he died he would have no regrets. Well, Decky, his killer will have some regrets, believe me. If looking around the temple will help you find who killed Lam Uyen, Marshal Matthew, please feel free to do so. Here we are. But first, I'm going to get the torn cloth out of the way. You managed to piece that torn cloth from the crime scene back together again. You're right, it looks like an old flag. And there's a partial bloody shoe print on it. Maybe Lars will be able to give us more information. Let's rush it over to him. Six hours. And let's get back to investigating the temple altar. I'm going to put on a hint just to be sure. Just to be on the safe end. Even though I pretty much know where everything is, the only thing I don't know is where the clues are. But I don't have to worry about collecting any more stars because I got all of them. Five seconds. Cool. Cool. This temple is where the victim lived, right, Matthew? So that cloth sack could be hiding a clue. You're right. Dig in. And we have definitely seen this book before. Every time I open it, it seems to be even more full of horse pucky. Hey, you're right. Looks like something was written on the title page. I can't quite make it out. We're just a quick dusting away from an answer, though. To Uyen, the flashing light is the way. Om. So what was the message you uncovered in the Guru's book? To Uyen, the flashing light is on the way. The flashing light is the way, and it's signed by Om Padmasana himself. What a shocker. That said, looks like our original mission and our murder investigation have finally dovetailed. Let's go find Mr. Padmasana and reconnect. He has to be around this temple somewhere. About his book, Dedication to the Victim. Marshal Matthew, namaste. Normally I wouldn't interrupt a retreat, but I sense a disturbance. I just bet you did. The person to whom you dedicated this book was found murdered. Lam Uyen is dead? Well, he did seem ready to continue his journey. He didn't have much of a choice in the matter. Someone chopped off his arm. Maybe you know why? Why would I know? I am a believer of non-violence, and I had major respect for him. I was studying with Duan as part of my retreat. The old always have so much to teach us, such wisdom. It was like studying with Buddha himself. But I wanted to share with Duan the new sights into the universe I've had since the flashing light awakened me. Ah yes, the flashing light. Listen up, Padmasana. We're onto you and your guru shtick. Lamuyen's death only makes you look more suspicious. We'll be back. Okay, cloth sack. So what did you find in that cloth sack from the temple? A hat? You have a point, Matthew. That hat reminds you of the hat the victim was wearing in the photo you found. Hey, you, put that down. That hat belongs to Lamuyen. You are not worthy of touching it. And who are you exactly? My name is Tashi, and I will not let you defile Lamuyen's belongings. Defile? No one is trying to defile anything here, Mr. Tashi. We're just trying to find the person who killed Lamuyen, and we need to speak with you. Question him about the victim. I would feel much better if Marshal Matthew would just hand that hat over to me so I can put it in a safe place. I'm sure you would, Tashi, but that's not going to happen because it's evidence in a murder investigation. Murder? You mean someone killed Lamuyen? Unfortunately, yes. Seems you're very attached to this monk. He was more than a monk to me. He saved my life. I was lost on the mountain in a thunderstorm and Lamuyen gave me shelter and food. Normally I would have had to become a monk to be able to stay at the tiger's nest, but Lamuyen never followed the rules. He thought they got in the way. I prayed in the temple for his continued health and long life. I was completely devoted to him. Well, the evidence will show us how devoted you really were, Mr. Tashi. Stay close. We may need to question you again. Okay. That's gonna do. I'll let these two run their courses. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Alright folks, we've returned. Let's get the results of the autopsy from Angela. Hey Matthew, the man in the arm that you brought me from the Tiger's Nest Monastery match. The victim died from blood loss after someone chopped his arm off. By the cuts, I would say that it was an axe. We'll keep an eye out for an axe. So the killer just left him there, arm and all? They probably panicked. From what I can see, there were hesitation chops at either side of the final cut. This shows some doubt, or at least inexperience. Besides that, the killer also grabbed the victim's wrist to steady the arm, but in doing so, they left traces of shang on the victim. Shang? I've heard of that stuff. It's home distilled liquor. It's like Bhutanese moonshine. Exactly. It's made from fermented millet greens, and it's very strong. The killer probably drank some to work up the nerve to go through with the act. So we have a killer who drinks Chan. Well, they better party while they can now that Matthew's on their trail. Yellow cloth now. Namaste, Matthew. Such a shame to see a prayer flag in such karmically questionable condition. Oh, so that's what that cloth was? But what's a prayer flag? There are flags hung up throughout the Himalayas to bless the countryside as the wind blows over the teachings written on them. The blood on this flag belonged to the victim, but the boot print on it definitely didn't. It's likely that the killer stepped on it as they fled the scene. The print corresponds to a hiking boot, though I can't give you a particular brand. So the killer wears hiking boots. Well, there's no hiking in prison, so they better enjoy the fresh air while they can. So, Matthew, let's take a closer look at this case. We have an old monk whose arm was chopped off. So far, the suspects are taking the news well given how attached they were to the victim. Om Padmasana kept his cool when we told him about the murder, even if his ego still goes to 11. Deki, the victim's adopted daughter, was also very calm. She seemed to think the victim was ready for death. Tashi is the only suspect so far who seems to be broken up about Lam Wuyen's murder. But then again, the victim did save his life. Marshal Matthew, you must get to the Sechu Festival site immediately. Ingrid, we don't have time for festivals. We're in the middle of a murder investigation. Exactly. And guess who was supposed to preside over the festival? The victim. The news of his death has spread. We're going to have a stampede on our hands. We'll see you guys for Chapter 2. Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's start Chapter 2 of Peace and Dead Quiet in Elite Mode. But first of all, looks like I got some energy. Well, Matthew, I'm still puzzled as to who might have chopped off that old monk's arm and left him for dead. Marshal Matthew, you must get to the Sechu Festival site immediately. Ingrid, we don't have time for festivals. We're in the middle of a murder investigation. Exactly. And guess who was about to preside over the festival? The victim. The news of his death has spread. We're going to have a stampede on our hands. Emergency workers are trying to clear everyone out, but vital evidence might be damaged. So I advise you both to hightail it to the festival site post-haste. Well, Matthew, emergency workers cleared out the crowd from the festival site, but they sure left one heck of a mess behind. You're right, there could be clues around here and... OMG! Marshal Matthew, thank goodness you're here. This place is a madhouse. Averly Worthington? It's Bangalore all over again. Are you still slumming around and bankrolling your guru Om Padmasana? Cynical much? It's not a crime to be wealthy, Marshal Matthew, but it's wrong not to share my money. And I want the guru to reach as many people as possible. You know I go wherever the guru goes, but I'm worried for his safety now, and mine. Who would murder a monk? I mean, maybe I can think of a few people, but... Maybe you wouldn't mind sharing a few of your ideas with Marshal Matthew, Miss Worthington. That'd be great. Or we could take a quick sweep for clues around the festival grounds first. Your call, Matthew. Let's question Averly Worthington first. Ms. Worthington, what did you mean when you said you could think of a few people who might have wanted to kill Lam Wuyen? Well, he wasn't exactly the most orthodox of monks. He liked to shake things up, you know? Get people out of their comfort zone. Personally, I was a little afraid of him. I mean, he was crazy pants, but I overheard the guru saying that Lam Wuyen had mega bad arthritis. And you know, like I've been studying Ayurvedic medicine, so I thought if I offered my holistic services to Lam Wuyen, the guru would take notice of me. Holistic services? What exactly did those entail? Mostly turmeric pastes, but I guess Lam Wuyen's arthritis won't be an issue anymore. You guessed right, Miss Worthington, but if Marshal Matthew finds out that you had anything to do with Lam Wuyen's demise, you'll have some issues to deal with. Okay.
Since then, my family and I have
Good.
priced for the cure every year.
It did not backfire on me. Now let's see if I can do this right. Woven basket. Chicken, elephant, yin yang, the tiger. Torn paper.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem.
Hey, that woven basket looks familiar, Matthew. Dupin was yammering at me and said that these are particular to Bhutan. Maybe you'll find a clue inside. This torn paper you found could just be garbage, but I'll trust your instincts. You can piece it together in no time, I'm sure. I only hope it gets us closer to catching the killer. The paper you pieced together has Lamuyen's signature on it. You'll need your dusting kit to see what was written on it. Festival manager. So what's written on Lamuyen's stationery? The note says, Group, Festival Manager, approved by Lamuyen. Well, if the victim shows us Droop guide to leave the festival, he's bound to be somewhere around here. Maybe he knows more about Lamuyen. Drew, Lamuyen placed you in charge of the Chechu Festival, is that correct? Not in charge of the entire festival. Lamuyen came to feel that I should take a more senior role in the preparations. The festival is 4 days of very specific dances, and I have been studying all the dances since I was a very small boy, so I agreed with this decision. Lamuyen also knew that even when I'm in hiking boots on the edge of a cliff, I can outdance any other person in Bhutan. And he knew that I could handle my qiang, which is more than you can say for some of the other dancers. Well, don't let those dancing feet wander too far off, Drew. We may need to ask you more questions. Wow, that was a long one. Dragon head pincushion, basically, because this thing won't keep up. What was in the woven basket? This looks like some kind of pincushion. But you're right, those spots on the pincushion look like blood. Think you can get a sample? So, Matthew, you got a decent blood sample from the pincushion? Lars will want to have a look at this. Let's get it to him.
My name is Body. I'm studying body
24 hours, and I will get the results when it's done. So for now, it's Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's get the results to blood. Hey there, Matthew. The blood you collected from the pincushion is definitely the victim's. Since you found the pincushion at the festival site, it's clear that the killer carried it away from the murder scene. And there's only one reason for anyone to wear a pincushion on their wrist: sewing. Wait, so you're telling us that the killer knows how to sew? It's pretty common in Bhutan. Both women and men are quite skillful at it. Well, knowing that the killer sews gets us that much closer to pinning them down for good. You know, Matthew, we still don't have much information about the victim. You're right. Another sweep of the temple could help. Let's head back. Smartphone, globe, yin yang balls, necklace, faded calendar, prayer wheel, bam, 6 seconds. Have you found anything that can tell us more about the victim? A smartphone? I guess it could be the victim's, but why would a monk have a smartphone? Think you can unlock it? And what's this calendar? The victim is featured on it. Looks like there was some writing too. Ready to get dusting? I'm going to do everything right now. G3L, O2Y, and 78X. Perfect. 17. You did it again, Matthew. You got that phone unlocked in no time at all. Let's track it over to Ellie and see if we can find anything interesting in it. 24 hours also. Faded calendar. I'll have all this case open, filmed and posted just before Tashi's planner. End of trial, meet with Uyen. So that calendar belonged to Tashi, Matthew? Just a bunch of X's. That's not very helpful. Oh wait, you're right. At the very end of the month, the date is circled and there's a note. End of trial, meet with Uyen. So Tashi was undergoing some kind of trial and needed to meet with the victim once it was complete? Why didn't he say that before? Time for a little chat with Tashi. About his plan to meet with the victim. So Tashi, Marshal Matthew found a calendar indicating you were involved in some sort of trial. What kind of trial? A trial of hard labor to prove my love. You see, after Lam Uyen took me in, I was so grateful. I stayed to do the odd jobs of the monastery, even the sewing. One day I saw Deki. I fell in love with her. It is a tradition in Bhutan that a potential spouse proves his worthiness of his bride with 3 years hard labor. 3 years? That's intense. What hard labor did you do? Well, every morning I'd lace up my hiking boots and go chop wood in the forest. Then I'd tour the grounds, remove fire hazards, then shine the Buddhas. That sounds exhausting. But why did you need to meet with the victim? Well, Lam Uyen was the only family Deki had. I intended to ask him for her hand in marriage and give us his blessing. but now he's dead, and I won't ever have his blessings to marry Deki. Well, Tashi, you have our blessing to stick around the monastery. We may be back to question you again. See you guys, and the smartphone is done. Alright folks, we have returned. Let's get the results of the smartphone. Well, Matthew, the phone that you brought me belonged to a tourist visiting the temple, but it showed a whole new side to one of the suspects. Let's just say that everyone's favorite guru is not exactly holier than thou. Take a look.
The project is expected to bring more than 4,800 residential units and just under 1,000 visitor units to the beach.
Dude, bro, Lamuyen, I love you, man. No, my friend, what you love is the Shang. I'm serious, man. You're like the grandfather I had, but like he died. But now he's back and he's you. Oh, little Om Padmasana, you still have so much to learn about everything. So Om Padmasana got rip-roaring drunk with the victim? And on Shang, no less. I can't believe it. Good point, Matthew. If this video got posted online, it could really damage the guru's reputation. We should rustle up Mr. Padmasana and have a chat with him about how he got drunk with the victim. About getting drunk with the victim? Hey there, Mr. Padmasana. How's your hangover? Marshal Matthew and I just saw a video of you drunk as a skunk with the victim. Oh no! No! Please tell me that you didn't see that video online. Nope, but we did watch it on a tourist smartphone, and if they posted it or sent it to anyone before they lost their phone... Oh man, I knew I shouldn't have trusted that old loony. He told me that stuff was a sacred beverage that would help me walk through walls. But I only ended up walking into walls. Thank goodness I was wearing my hiking boots or all my toes would be broken. I'm so embarrassed. A few of my followers saw me and now they're gone. They lost faith in me. If that video goes viral, I could lose thousands of followers, I mean. Well, Guru, losing followers will be the least of your worries if Marshal Matthew finds out you killed Lamuyen. Well, Matthew, I don't know what to say. Finding the person who chopped off Lamuyen's arm and left him to die is proving to be a tough task. So far, Om Padmasana seems to have the biggest motive and the most at stake. Getting drunk in front of his followers could end his little cult. As for Tashi, he seemed to have looked up to the old monk, especially after he fell in love with the victim's daughter. Deki is causing mayhem at the festival site. Deki, the victim's adopted daughter, but she's so demure. Well, maybe she changes when she's had too much to drink. You better get over to the festival site and get her under control. And we'll start Chapter 2 in just a moment. Okay, it is now time to begin Chapter 2 of Peace and Dead Quiet in Elite Mode. Well, Matthew, I don't know what to say. Finding the person who chopped off Lamuyen's arm and left him to die is proving to be a tough task. Deki has gone wild at the festival site. Things are getting out of hand. Deki? You mean the victim's adopted daughter is acting out? She seemed so demure when we first met her. Well, maybe she changes when she's had too much to drink. We better get to the festival site and talk Deki down before she does something crazy. Okay, 2 energy extra. About her erratic behavior. I'm free! I'm free! Whoa, girl, you can barely stand up. Why don't you take some deep breaths? Deep breaths? Deep breaths? You sound like Lamuyen. I had enough of him, and I've had enough of you. I was always cooking and cleaning and other wifely duties. Wifely duties? That's a weird term for his adopted daughter to use. I shouldn't say anymore. Besides, I think I'm going to be sick. Tashi has always teased me for not being able to hold my chang, as if he never gets drunk. Well, don't go too far with drowning your sorrows, Deki. We may need to ask you more questions. Deki's behavior is so extreme. When we first met her, she seemed so demure. Maybe there's more to her than we thought. I wonder if the change in Deki is just her way of rebelling, or if it's how she's coping with the grief. Regardless, Matthew, we need more clues, and fast, if we're going to find the killer. You're right. Let's take a closer look at the festival site. Okay, let's see. What clues are we going to find this time? Wooden box. Torn silk. A raven. Blue ribbon. Shield. Oranges. And unicycle. What are those torn pieces of silk? Well, I'm sure we'll have a better idea once you piece them together. And that box you found has the name of the victim on it. Let's see what's inside. No way, Matthew. This box is holding the victim's nail clippings. If you want a sample of those, I'll be collecting them to you. 16 stars. Let's examine the wooden box now.
For the fourth time this season, first-year head coach Nick Bolovich and his football team protested, leaving Iraq either in for Robert Obama or enforce the apocalypse.
God, I love that voice. Got it. 17? No, 16. You got a sample of the victim's nail clippings from the box? Why on earth would anyone keep their nail clippings? Maybe somebody thinks they're scared or sacred or something. I don't know what you hope to get from them. Fingernails under a microscope, that's all you. Gee, thanks a lot, Carmen. There we are. 4 out of 4. 17. Averly. Wait a second. How did Averly Worthington's DNA get on our victim's disgusting fingernails? Well, she had been helping the victim with holistic medicine, you're right. We better talk to Miss Worthington right away.
Just a few hours ago, it's a 9 of 12 stops on WSL's 2016 tour.
About her services to the Guru. So, Miss Worthington, how exactly did your DNA get mixed in with the nail clippings of Lamuyen. I can totes explain. I was applying the turmeric paste for his arthritis, and that nasty lech grabbed me. He grabbed you? That's pretty wild behavior for a monk. I know, right? He grabbed so hard that he scratched my skin. He even ripped the tunic I was wearing. The whole thing was really freaky, and it made me question my path in holistic medicine, but at least the incident brought me closer to the guru. When I told the guru what happened, he was so shocked that he offered to mend my tunic for me. But I couldn't let him do such menial work. I sewed it back together myself. And we know that you do anything to get in the guru's good books. Here's hoping that didn't include murder. And the torn silk now. So you piece together those silk scraps? It looks like some kind of quilt. But wait, did somebody scribble all over the silk? Doesn't that scribbled face kind of look like the victim? You're right. I bet DuPont will know what this fabric is, and if it's normal that somebody doodled all over it. $18 hours. Alright, I will get the results tomorrow. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, let's get the results of the silk figure from DuPont. Well, to see this beautiful silk applique to face is absolutely heartbreaking for this cultural expert, je vous le dis. This applique was to be part of the thong drill that is shown every year at the Sichu Festival. A thong drill? What on earth is that? It's a religious image. In Bhutan, it depicts Padmasambhava, the Buddhist sage who found the Tiger's Nest Monastery. So I'm guessing that doodling on it to make it look like the victim is not part of the tradition? Bien sûr que non. Absolutely not. To deface this thong drill is a heinous act. The question is, who did it? Good point, Matthew. Druk was in a management position overseeing the festival. Maybe he'll know about this. Let's go talk to him. See what Druk has to say. So, Druk, Marshal Matthew was wondering if you knew anything about this defaced part of the thong drill we found. I do. I didn't mention the defacement before because I didn't want to dishonor Lamuyen, but he did it. He knew that I'd have to tear that silk off and start the sewing all over again on the thong drill. Why would Lamuyen want to sabotage the festival? Lamuyen wasn't mad exactly, but he was highly unorthodox. He said that scribbling his face on Padmasambhava was a lesson in non-attachment. He put me in charge of the festival and then put obstacles in my path at every turn. But I realize now that he wanted to teach me humility. And did you learn the lesson, Druk, or did you lose your cool? At least we know where to find you if we have any more questions. Seems like the victim may not have been the holy man we thought he was. After all, he did trick the guru into drinking alcohol. On top of that, he assaulted Averly. And his relationship with his adopted daughter, Deki, seems to have been less fatherly than we thought. There is so much more to this than meets the eye, Matthew. We need more clues to zero in on the killer. Let's go back to the crime scene. Okay. Okay, I gotta get this thing out of the way now.
Here we are.
That chest you found is locked? Why would anyone leave a locked chest in the middle of a mountain path? Think you can unlock it? And is that a whetstone? Those are usually for sharpening knives, but this one is round, so what's it for? I'll check my phone. Looks like this type of whetstone is better suited for axes. The killer must have used it to sharpen the murder weapon. You're right, there's a bluish powder on this whetstone. This could be key evidence. We'll need a sample of it and fast. Some extra energy coming my way. Why don't you guys have a look at my cards too? Okay, now let's get the results of this. Whetstone. There we are, 15. You got a sample of the blue powder from the killer's whetstone. Let's rush it to Lars.
I'm fine.
18 hours. A7A and SEN just got the 15 in time. Matthew, the axe you found on that chest has to be the murder weapon. Look at the blood. There's yellow paste on it too. That paste can help us catch the killer. Lars will know what it is. Let's go. Okay, 30 hours. Okay, I'll see you guys when that's done. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the blue powder. Matthew, you're right on time. Knock, knock. Lars, seriously, how could a knock-knock joke help? Okay, fine. Who the frickin' frack is there? Turquoise. Spare me. Turquoise who? Turquoise is the prettiest color. It's scientifically proven. Get it? Scientific? Scientific? Anyway, the powder Matthew collected from the whetstone came from the semi-precious stone turquoise. From the powder's distribution, I'd venture that the killer was wearing this whetstone and scratched a turquoise object on it. Probably a large bead. So the killer wears a turquoise bead. We're getting closer to wrapping up this case, Matthew. And the axe? My lovely wife compared the chop marks on the victim to axe blade. It's a 100% match. Great job finding the murder weapon, Matthew. And I know what you're thinking. What's better than finding the murder weapon, right? What could be better than not getting on my last nerve, Lars? Well, Matthew also brought in more evidence. The yellow paste on the axe handle was a mixture of turmeric, sandalwood, and rose water. This combination of plants is used to treat scars in Ayurvedic medicine. So the killer's treating a scar, huh? Well, maybe that scar will make them look tough enough for prison. Right, Matthew? Matthew, we have all the evidence you need to arrest Lamuyen's killer. Let's end this. It's not Deki. It's not Om Padmasana. It's Tashi. Tashi, Marshal Matthews arresting you for the murder of Lamuyen. What? I would never do my biggest benefactor any harm. The hiking boots you wear say otherwise, Tashi. Haven't you noticed I live on the edge of a cliff? What other shoes could I possibly wear up here? Well, you don't have to wear a turquoise bead around your neck to live up here. Turquoise bead? Haven't you seen the bead on the guru guy? He wears one too. Ah, but Om Padmasana never lets Ayurvedic scar treatment all over the handle of the murder weapon. I don't get it, Tashi. You were almost done with your 3-year trial. Why kill Lamuyen right before you could marry Deki? Because he would never have let me marry Deki. He had taken her as his own wife. Whoa, Lamuyen turned his adopted daughter into his wife? So that's what Deki meant by wifely duties. Once I overheard him talking to Deki not like a father but like a dirty old man. But I could hear in her voice that she didn't like his words. When I heard the way he talked to her, I knew I had to save her from him by any means necessary. I understand how shocking that discovery must have been, but chopping him up was not the best way to deal with it. You're under arrest. Mr. Tashi, you're charged with the murder of Lamuyen, whose arm you chopped off with an axe. I had to save Deki from him so we could get married. You had to save a woman from him? Aren't monks celibate? He was not a normal monk. He used people. He hurt people. I understand that your intention was to help this woman, but murder is never the answer. Tashi, this court sentences you to 10 years in prison. Even if Deki doesn't wait for me to get out of prison, it was worth it to know that she's free. I'm glad that we solved this murder, Matthew, but I had to wonder how the victim changed from a holy man to someone who would assault young women and marry his own daughter. Still, Tashi shouldn't have resorted to murder, even if it was to save Deki. Hey Matthew, a red flag has popped up on one of the guru's accounts. He's been transferring large sums of money, enough to be highly suspicious. I knew he couldn't be here just for his personal development. He's shady. Time to get back on that so-called guru's case. Do this at home. And I'll see y'all then. But first of all, let's have a look. Averly Worthington cleared from the start. Group. No turquoise bead. Deki cleared early. Om Padmasana, no scar. It was Tashi. See you guys for a new Light 5-6. Okay folks, we have returned. It's been a while since I've been in my regular room. Basically because my computer's been having problems. But I guess an unplugging seemed to work. Let's go to new Light 5-6. Remember how the chief told me to put Sombra on hold so we could focus on Om Padmasana? Well, guess what? A red flag has popped up on one of the guru's accounts. He's been transferring large sums of money, enough to be highly suspicious. I knew he couldn't be in Bhutan just for his personal development. Yes, the money's been going to an entity called One Mother Milk. I'm not really sure if it's a shell company or an NGO or what. Marshal Matthew, trek up to the temple and ask Om Padmasana about this post-haste. We'll finally be able to prove that this Padmasana chap is just another swindler. I'll come with you, Matthew. My psychoanalysis skills could come in handy when you interrogate him. Sorry to interrupt, Matthew, but when you have a moment, could you come with me to the lab? I have a favor to ask you. Om Padmasana, stop hiding. We need to speak with you. The Guru is currently unavailable, Marshal Matthew. Besides, he's been proven innocent, so why would you need to speak with him? You can speak with me instead. Not a bad notion, Miss Worthington. We learned in Bangalore how much of the Guru's income you provide, so maybe you can tell us more about his finances? What would I know? I don't question his decisions about where the money I give him should go. I'm sure that the Guru isn't doing anything wrong with the money. He has changed so many people's lives for the better. Well, if that's true, then you won't mind Marshal Matthew taking a look around the temple? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to lose the Guru's trust. Ms. Worthington, think of how much of the Guru's trust you stand to gain by exonerating him once and for all. Yeah, you're right. I just know that you won't find anything bad around the temple. The Guru can do no wrong. To prove it, I'll make a generous donation to you in his name. Aha! Painted box. Mouse. Garlic. Sword. There we go. Oh, darn. I could have been looking at first place. Oh well. You found a box of prayer flags. I'll trust your judgment, Matthew. If there's something to be dug up in that box about the Guru, you'll find it. Ooh, brochure. Ha! You found a flyer among those prayer flags, and it's for the charity Elliot mentioned, One Mother Milk. Looks like this charity supplies infant formula to needy families throughout Asia. You've got to be kidding me, Matthew. The logo for OM Medilab is on the charity flyer. If they're involved, that can't be good. So the Guru's giving huge donations to a charity owned by OM Medilab? Even more proof that he's shady. You're right. We better get this flyer to Elliot. He'll figure it all out. Okay, 18 hours. Looks like I'll be getting the results after my church tomorrow, but let's talk to Lars. I know this might seem odd, Matthew, but I have a favor to ask of you, and I need to keep it a secret, especially from Angela. I've been thinking a lot about why I wanted to follow the Guru. I realized that I was running away from my problems. I thought the only way I could enjoy my family more is by dropping everything. I can't blame Angela for being angry with me about that. But now I know that I can work for the Bureau and still get to enjoy my family. I want to prove it to Angela by renewing our vows at the monastery. I've heard that in Bhutan, an astrologer officiates weddings. Will you come with me to the festival site to find one? Great! Thanks so much for indulging me. I'll meet you at the festival site. Well, as far as in response to the other one, to earlier when I had the mountain goat out and I got 100 XP, 100,000 XP points, the only thing I had to say about that is there's always next time. Oh, there. Hey Matthew, that book you found looks like it could be interesting. Can't make out what the subject is, but the images seem pretty mystical. If we can find an astrologer, maybe this book could help us. Oh, and I got the 19. I can't read the title of that book either. I don't even know what language it's in. Do you think DuPont would know, Matthew? Let's get this book to him. And let's see, 12 hours. I'll get the results of both tomorrow. So for now, this is Matthew. See you then. Okay, folks, we have returned. Let's get the results of the brochure. Matthew, you're not going to believe what I found out about that charity, One Mother Milk. As you know, they provide infant formula for needy families in Asia, and they are directly related to that giant pharmaceutical company, OM Medilab. We got as much from the brochure, Elliot. Tell us something we don't know. Remember how I said I couldn't access any of OM Medilab's data, Matthew? Well, because One Mother Milk is a charity, it is subject to different financial transparency laws than, say, a pharmaceutical giant. Through the charity, I was able to follow the OM Medilab financial trail right back to Sombra. Are you kidding me? OM Medilab is a Sombra front? That explains the company's questionable ethics. This confirms our suspicions that enlightenment is not Om Padmasana's main concern. He's been sending money to Sombra through the One Mother Milk charity. Did I hear you say Om Padmasana has been giving money to Sombra? So let me come with you, Matthew. Averly Worthington is going to tell us where that guru is. If we find him, we'll be back on Sombra's trail.
Take care of me. To learn more, visit hmsa.com.
Later to tell. Miss Worthington, we must speak to Om Padmasana immediately. He is not here, I told you. Stop harassing him. He's innocent. He was the first to see the flashing light that cleanses all things. Well, the flashing light won't cleanse your guru of sending money to a criminal organization. Now, where is he? I'm afraid the guru has left the temple, Marshal Matthew. He hasn't said a word to his followers about where he's going. Uh-huh, sure. You better tell us everything you know about his itinerary right this minute. Chill out, okay? Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. It is part of my duty as a follower to protect the guru no matter what. Well, if you're not careful, you're going to protect your way into a jail cell. As if. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to meditate on the flashing light to clear all this negative energy out of my system. Negative energy? Please. Well, I'll admit my blood sugar is getting low, Matthew. I need to eat something or else I'll release some serious negative energy. Well, Averly Worthington wasn't helpful at all. big surprise. But we still need to find the guru and ask him about his links to Sombra. But you're right, Matthew. Averly Worthington will follow the guru to the ends of the earth. If we follow her, she'll lead us to the guru. I'll tell Elliot to keep tabs on her and follow her movements so he can find Om Padmasana.
Attending that house on the Manoa campus, the event featured hands-on experiments to demonstrate different properties of physics, teaching students in a fun way about momentum and the center of gravity. UH physics and astronomy students that they also shared some of their
Book title now? Ah, Kel Trasor, what a treasure you brought to me when you sent this book to be analyzed. Mes amis, this is an ancient book about Tibetan astrology. A book on astrology? That could be exactly what I need. Indeed, even if it's in Tibetan, Bhutan, and Tibet, Bhutan and Tibet share certain cultural aspects. That said, in Bhutan, the traditional marriage ceremony lasts 4 days. Dude, I don't have that kind of time. Never fear, Lars. Extrapolating the calculations in this ancient book, I was able to determine that today is the perfect day for you and Angela to renew your vows. But you must hurry to the monastery and renew them before sundown, and you'll need a Bhutanese astrologer to officiate. Look for a monk with a kata or sacred shawl. They'll know Tibetan astrology. Thanks, man. Matthew, we better get going. It's a long, hard climb up the cliff to that monastery.
Society raised all of that money and volunteers help install a dam. And turning to our island weather now, the wind and rain are now going to tell me the surf is up, just like those kids moving around.
Yeah, surf is up and will be up tomorrow as well. In fact, high surf above is posted for north and western shores. Believe me, take a look at these pictures. I'll forecast for you in a moment, but here is what it looked like on the surf shore area. Went to Sunset Beach. Got a great view of the shore. Take a look at these waves. It's starting to look a lot like winter.
Oh, looks like I'll have a chance now. Hopefully I will get that.
KITV Island Weather is brought to you by the Hawaii Electric Companies.
Nope. Well, you didn't find a monk wearing a kata, but this shawl could be the one Japan was talking about. But how do we find the astrologer this shawl belongs to? Huh, yeah, of course, Matthew. DNA should do the trick. Maybe you can collect some skin cells from the shawl. Okay. 16. Good going, Matthew. You got a sample of skin cells from the shawl. I'm too nervous to analyze much of anything at the moment. I have to figure out how to get Angela up here without ruining the surprise. If you can check the skin cell sample out with the microscope, that will be really helpful. Thanks, Matthew. Let's see. I wonder. There we go. And bam. 4. $17. Druk. So the shawl belongs to that festival dancer Druk? You mean he's a dancer and an astrologer? Well, let's track Druk down. If his shawl was at the monastery, then he must be around there. Maybe he'll be willing to officiate.
Waves are on our line, so
to ask him to officiate Lars and Angela renewing their vows. Hello, Drew. I am Lars. I work with Marshall Matthew. I want to renew my vows, my marriage vows with my wife, Angela. You're an astrologer, and today before sundown would be the most auspicious time for you to officiate such a ceremony. Can you help me? Well, it's awfully short notice, but since you're not Bhutanese, I can probably come up with something that lasts a few hours instead of 4 days. Sorry guys, tablet ran out of room. I accept the challenge. We'll need a special wooden cup for the ceremonial beverage. First I'll drink from the cup, and then you two can say your vows. Then you drink from the same cup. That's it? Drink from a cup and say how much I love my wife? I can do that. But first you must get into proper attire. One cannot have a ceremony without the required costuming. You can go change while I'm preparing everything. I sure hope that Angela will be happy with this surprise, Matthew. What's going on? Why did you want me to wear these clothes and bring the triplets up here? Angela, honey, I know things have been rocky lately, and that I am to blame for trying to force our family to follow the guru. I was a fool. But I have learned that we do important work for the Bureau, and that you and the triplets are all I need to get by. So if you'll still have me, I would like to renew our marriage vows. This is also unexpected. Yes, Lars, I will. The sun will set soon. You must say your vows. I'm tongue-tied, Lars. Why don't you start? Angela, I promise to try to make you laugh every day. I promise to include you in all decisions regarding our family. I promise to stay by your side. Lars, I promise to laugh at your corny jokes. I promise to save your life as many times as I possibly can. I promise that I will never let you down. Now you must both drink from the cup. I love you, Mr. Boo. I love you too, Mrs. Boo. My love for you is like the strong nuclear force. Our bond will always be covalent. Mommy, can we have some of that drink too? No, sweeties, this beverage is fermented. You know what that means, right? Yes, Mommy, there's ethanol in it, and it could make us very sick. Exactly, and I have my hands full enough with your father. Matthew, I am so happy that Angela and Lars have made it through all these hard times. Me too. They are really inspiring. Marriage is hard work. It takes guts to forgive. Speaking of forgiveness, Jonah, I've had time to think about how you disobeyed your orders to kill me. Maybe I should get a better understanding of your side of the story. Over some tea? Tea with me? You want to get... yeah, sure. Just say when. When? Good news, everybody. Averly Worthington's on the move. She just bought a ticket to fly to Tibet. She probably got the call to follow the guru to Tibet. And considering Padmasana's possible connections to Sombra through One Mother Milk, we can't just watch from a safe distance. Marshall Matthew, gather your gear and get ready for a higher altitude. You're going to Tibet. I'm going to open up I'll tell you what, the case that I'm currently in right now is not done yet, but by the time I upload this video, it will be. So, we're going to go case 52. I have not finished that case just yet, and I'll see you guys for when I do. I'm currently in the additional investigation. Or no, I'm actually just about to finish chapter 3. So I'm going to open up the sticker packs after I finish case 52. So I'll see y'all then.